Welcome back to the Anime Field Guide. My name is Dave. I talk about anime and related topics and the fine folks who make it all possible. Today it's time to get sidetracked with Jamaal and Jack from the 950 Club podcast as we talk about the recently concluded 2025 anime series Kijin Gentosho, or Sword of the Demon Hunter. You can watch it over on High Dive. It's about 24 episodes, and it's really good. We're going to tell you about it after I do these quick plugs. Of course, you can find us over on the link tree is the best way to get in touch. So linktr.ee/ANI Field Guide. Our business email is animefieldguide@gmail.com. And of course, our Discord is free to join as well. You can find that in the link tree. And just however you want to engage with the podcast, I am thankful for your listenership. And thank you for making this little episode part of your day as well. And let's get this going. So Jamaal and Jack, I'm going to do a quick origins of Kijin Gentosho, and then we'll just kind of go into how we discovered Demon Hunter. So let me yap for just about 1 or 2 more minutes here. So Sword of the Demon Hunter is a historical fantasy light novel series written by Motoo Nakanishi, and it's illustrated by a person named Tamaki. It is Goodreads at this point shows 13 volumes. I believe the official publisher lists 14 books. We've got 11 translated to English at this time. They're slowly bringing them out. And I think up to volume 13, you've got January and May of 2026. So steadily getting through them. This series started on the web. It was a web series over on 2 websites between basically January of 2013 running until December of 2016. Then it was picked up by a magazine publishing company, Futabasha. And this was also adapted to manga with illustrations by Yu Satomi. You may know him as the horror manga illustrator from Kekai no Noa, or Noah of the Blood Sea. Today's topic naturally covers the 24-episode anime adaptation by Yokohama Animation Lab and directed by Kazuya Aira. So Jamaal and Jack, how you guys doing today? And ready to talk about some Demon Hunter?
Oh yeah, this is technically like a throwback episode with the 950 Club because the original format was 2 episodes side by side, either similar or contrast. Or themed heavy, like we did the Kill special with Akame ga Kill and Kill la Kill. And then this one, like if I could like make an episode with the Sword of Demon Hunter, it'd be the successors of Demon Slayer, and the other show I would do would be Fire Hunter, because those shows are like the closest I can think of in terms of like plot themes and structure of Demon Slayer, akin to it. But it's also kind of one of those shows where we also dived in as well with themes of like just under the radar, just there, like people are not really catching on with it, but there's a small cult community that's essentially watching it. The hardcore divers like us finished it, and we watched it again as it ended. So it's that amazing of a show.
I agree, man. First of all, thanks for having us back. Like Jack said, we haven't done a deep dive on in a while, even though we've been planning them obsessively. We just haven't done it yet. So it's a real treat to be able to dive into a show like this where maybe a little under the radar, maybe a little underappreciated.
Oh, absolutely. I actually want to circle back to what you just said, Jack. The successor to Demon Slayer. This came out before Demon Slayer. This was done before Demon Slayer's manga even got underway.
Fair. For novel, that is correct.
Yeah. The original novels, and even the manga is. It would have been. Yeah, the manga would have been about the same time, but a different magazine entirely. I think Sidetracked is more for like this kind of show that's just been wrapped up. We have a group of 3 of us, and I've been beating the drum over on Instagram and Threads a little bit as well. And I think this is the kind of show and others where I think this Sidetrack would kind of work, where we don't really do so much explain, here's all the production staff and stuff. Just kind of dive into why we think the show is cool and just do a general review and discussion.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because the only source material I got that's kind of consistent, pretty much like putting all things together, was Reddit, and they did episode reviews, and each discussion is like, wait a second, what's going on here? What's going on here? So this is a show that's under the radar, but it's understandably why it's under the radar, or at least why people didn't finish it, or maybe people actually finished it and didn't care for it that much. So it's a tricky process into gathering this show. But you are correct, Dave. It's a really hard show to really list all the details because there's so much that happens. And as we discussed in between our dialogues with the format of the show and the pacing of the show, there's a lot of callbacks second time viewing, and it's much better when you watch it the second time around. So it's a very hard sell. It's a very hard sell of a show.
Foreshadowing of the Demon Hunter.
Yeah, oh yeah.
This is something that I've said from the beginning. I think part of the reason why this show is a bit under the radar is I just don't think that first episode did it justice. I think it put expectations on it that, like you said, like, a lot of people were like, oh, this is going to be the next Demon Slayer, Demon Hunter. And then I think people that were expecting that sort of theme to continue, and the action and it's not, that's not the show. That's not what this show is about.
Exactly.
And so when you take that and then you think about, as we spoke of in the Demon Slayer episode, the production values that were put in there and the animation, Demon Hunter doesn't have that. It put, I think, unfair expectations on the show. But,
Yeah.
It's a show that I think we all would agree, if you stick with it and you kind of take that expectation off of it, you will really get an appreciation for it. And like you said, Dave, like, when I first started watching this, it took me a good 5-6 episodes for me to figure out, okay, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. I really need to pay attention to what's going on here. And the next thought I had was, this is going to be a lot better because I know what to expect.
Obviously, as we would have seen through the trailers and promo deals, like, we know that something bad's going to happen in the first episode. Jinya's going to have a no good, very bad day. And the whole time you're watching episode 1, you're just waiting for the shoe to drop and watching it all slowly build up. And so here's a general summary before we get too involved in here. So in the Edo period, a brother and sister Jinya and Suzune run away from home and are picked up by a traveling samurai who raises them as his own children in the secluded mountain village of Kadono. Now, demons exist in this world. It wouldn't be sort of the demon hunter otherwise. So demons and monsters prowl the darkness in this world. And it is the responsibility of the village sentinel to defend their holy shrine maiden, the Ikutsuki Hime. Jinya trains to take up the mantle of the next sentinel, while his foster sister, Shirayuki, assumes the role of the village shrine maiden. And though these two are deeply in love, they both decide to pursue their duties for the good of the village rather than romantic interest. However, Jinya's little sister, Suzune, resents this arrangement, and one fateful day it all comes crashing down. Jinya is severely wounded by a mysterious demon who claims the demon god will arise in 170 years to rule the world, and on his way back, Jinya is met with the near destruction of Kadono, as another demon has emotionally manipulated his sister Suzune into unleashing her true demonic powers. Suzune brutally murders in front of Jinya, causing his now demonic transformation and the beginning of a 170-year revenge journey where Jinya takes up the sacred sword of Kadono, changes his name to Jinya, and embarks on his quest for revenge. And on his extraordinary journey across history, Jinya will face down multiple demons, encounter the supernatural, explore the mysteries of the human heart, and forge bonds that transcend natural lifespans. So that's our starting point, basically, with Sword of the Demon Hunter. It starts off as one way, but it's actually about this long journey.
It is all because it's a chase from beginning there, because our hero Jinya is essentially a tragic hero, and his love of his life got killed. And as Suzune, his sister, turns out to be the ultimate villain. So it's a weird punch of a first episode, and you're like, okay, I'm ready for battles upon battles upon battles, Shangri-La Frontier style, even Dr. Stone style. Nope. It's like, okay, the second episode, years pass, time passes.
I tell this, what I've said to people is, if you like Freein, you should check this out. So like in Freein, like the measurement of time is like how many years after Himmel's death, and they constantly go through that with her. And here is like the complete opposite. It's like 170 years from this moment, this battle is going to happen. So you have 170 years of time that you're just going to have to wait for. And if you don't pay attention that first episode, when he has that interaction with that demon, you don't even realize that, that's what this whole thing is based around. It's like, all right, we're not going to skip to just 170 years at the beginning.
So, like, specifically, the anime covers the years 1830 through 1872. So we're starting in the Edo period, and we're ending just after the Meiji Restoration. And we also have times where Jinya will do a story, and then we see him, in 2009?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, there's a
2010.
major jump forward.
Yeah, to 2009, where basically characters and events will happen that have a somewhat significance on the modern day. And I think that's where the first time we really saw it, like you saw it in episode 1, where the ending of that episode, and then it jumps to modern day as he's walking up the steps to a shrine. He's coming home after 170 years. And
Yeah.
that's your first taste. And I think it was about episodes a couple bit later where there's a story of his where he does this one of his demon hunts, and it gets passed down as this other person's autobiography, and he's he plays as a minor character, and this autobiography gets turned into a play. And so Jinya is sitting there with his high school classmates in 2009 watching this ancient historical play, and you see him sit through the show and kind of go, wait a minute, she wrote me like a dumbass.
Oh yeah. It's a play on a play.
That is so many, like, how many layers deep do you have to go for that? And that's just,
It's an incredible journey to go down to. Like we said before, that it sets the first episode. It sets up not just the plot, but many of the themes of the show.
the emotional core.
Unfolded.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfolded in that first episode. Like you were saying during your review, just the change from his name to Jinya and how important that was. All that time has passed, and I completely forgot about that. So it just brings me back to what we said before. Like, watching it that second time, you're going to catch so much that you.
What do you think about the way demons are expressed in this world? Because you have some that are more animalistic. You've got the newer demons, and then you've got the ones that have been around for a while.
Yeah.
And, being a so-called sword of the demon hunter, just how vengeful is Jinya really?
It's not only like these demons are effective and dangerous, they cause a mark into Jinya's soul, whether he transforms into some of their superpowers or he learns a lesson from them. Case in point with the first episode, the key thing with this one demon that swooned Suzune is essentially that this demon had the power of foresight. And that's a key thing because she foretold that Suzune would be the all-powerful demon lord of the region. And she also saw her demise as well. So it's like a weird kind of like knack where you do rewatch those parts as well and think, okay, they're kind of set up like the villain of the week, especially with each episode, little by little. But each demon, in a weird sense, becomes more and more impactful as you go along with the show. It's just that amazing of a build.
The way the demons come about in this world is different. I think they mentioned like demons kind of come about
Like general, yeah, it's like extreme emotional distress, extreme negative karma, a curse. Also the good old-fashioned way, because remember, Suzune was Genta's mother was raped by a demon, and then that's how Suzune was born, which is why Genta's father always treated Suzune like dirt, and basically saying this is how, or the setting in motion why Genta and Suzune ran away in the first place, because Genta, that's still his sister, even though her origins are incredibly tragic.
Yeah,
it's the more you learn about her, and the more you see how much she was just holding back her true nature.
No, literally holding it back, mentally and physically. He's literally holding it back.
Is when she turns, it's a literal tide of darkness that just.
Yeah.
But it's like a cloak. She's like Voldemort. She creates a cloak of darkness just around her all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It's just so effective. That incredible rage and just that fundamental understanding where you start the show is like, I'm going to kill the crap out of her. And then the more you go through the years, Jinya is still kind of going like, well, I'm not so sure now. Probably still going to kill the crap out of her, but maybe I'll talk first. And I'm sure we get glimpses of her. That's another thing. We never see Genta and Suzune never meet up. directly during the show. They will hear rumors about each other, and then of course there's that moment where she passes him in the shrine.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know it's her, or he's focused on something else. So I wonder how long it will actually be before they meet, or if they'll continue to play. I'm sure they'll meet at some point, but I wonder if they're just going to keep playing this dance.
That's the ploy. That is the rub, and the show kind of outplays expectations in that sense because of that chase, because of that grand epic beginning, where it dives right back into the heart and soul of Jinya. Because as you were discussing with the case with Jinya's mother, it's like weird turn of events in the second episode where it's revealed that his mom did turn into a demon as well, or at least like a demon spirit.
Her regrets manifested a spirit.
Yes,
fed off of other doubts.
Yeah, so that's the remarkable thing about the show, because it's not going back to that first route. It's not going back to 1A. This is literally Sidetracked. This is literally Skyrim, where you're doing Quest C, Quest Q, Quest Infinity over Quest A. So as you go along with these notions episode by episode, it becomes less about Jinya's quest and more about Jinya's quest of his soul.
One of the quotes that I wrote down was when he was having that battle with the demon while the other one was over there manipulating Sasune. He asked the demon, like, is it in your blood to kill humans? And the demon says, not exactly, but we live to an intended purpose. And that is a thread that goes throughout the 24 episodes of this season. It's this purpose, and it calls back to a conversation that he had with Shirayuki when she tells him, like, hey, look, I gotta get married to this guy born in Kodono. He's a sentinel. He's gonna be the future chieftain. Like, I have to marry this guy. But I love you. And they're having that conversation, and he ends up saying, we can't help but prioritize how we live our over who we live them with.
Under the wisteria tree, no less, which is incredibly significant. That is like those flowers are literally, or like there's a bunch of meanings, but I mean, obviously the meaning of that one was, we are devoted to each other. We love each other, but we also, again, we are also devoted to our cause. And so we are going to express our love for each other by fully devoting our way to the cause. She's like, I can go through with this because I know that you will always be there to protect me. And you are obviously in love with me, and you will, show your love through protecting me. And another quote from episode 1, or really like a repeating quote through the series, of course, what makes episode 1 so tragic is the other quote, things don't always turn out how we wish.
Yeah. Man, and those quotes all hit very, very hard on the rewatch, because now I know what's happening. And I know these interactions that he's having. It's him trying to maintain a bit of his humanity. As he said himself, he's fueled by anger. He says, nothing but malice consumes my soul. And, he is a demon. And the demon he fought has the power of assimilation. So, he can take on what the other demons had. So it's like, as he's consumed by this thing and by this rage, it goes back to, what's your purpose? We see the regrets and the things so in the back of your mind, you have to think, is this guy going to be spawning demons because of all of the rage and the regrets and stuff that's inside of him?
I think for this show, it really is about the journey, not so much the destination. And as part of that, Jinya does have a major purpose to fulfill. He himself, as he took on the demonic aspects, he can of course absorb other powers of demons, and that's essentially how he's going to physically grow his strength. But the extra bit of that is every time he does assimilate a demon, he takes in part of their memories. As he absorbs more demonic powers, he also takes on physical aspects of the demons that he absorbs. So basically, he becomes more and more monstrous as the show goes on. But of course, he's not walking around like that every single day. Demons can basically disguise themselves as humans, and then when it's time to bust out the demon powers, that's when they take on their more like different aspects. And that's where we have that key difference. The more animalistic demons that are just all about, rage and murder and kill, or just plain confusion also. They're all muddled. And if a demon lives long enough, they basically let go of that animalistic side, and just most of them decide to live alongside humans. But I think it's a really cool way to show, again, the different perspectives of the demons that he talks to, and the demons he's able to absorb. And it's also a really diegetic way to do flashbacks. It informs Jinya and it informs the audience. We don't always get the full picture, but what we're seeing is what Jinya is seeing. And so it's not just that he's callously, again, he is taking up demon slaying as a job because they are a threat around town. It's a way for him to keep his skills up. And again, early on, when he's still allowed to carry a sword openly with the rules and everything, it is how he literally makes his living. People are hiring him out. He makes a pretty good living, apparently, at being a demon slayer. It's a really good format to just bring in all kinds of stories, which is where I think Demon Hunter shows its hand at actually being more of a mystery series, or a supernatural mystery series, rather than, again, a slaying show. But again, the combat that is there is incredibly bloody, but the combat is not really the point of the show. It's just I see combat in the show as not so much a last resort, but it's when negotiations have fully broken down.
Not a battle show at all. When the negotiations break down, it's like there's nothing more that we could do with this story. There's no more lessons for Jinya to learn. It's time for this to end. And, it's usually a struggle.
I disagree with that statement, because the battles themselves is sort of the final lesson in a way. It's not that he has nothing left to learn. In fact, a lot of the times when Jinya's on the rope, it's because he's struggling to take in the lessons that people are trying to give him, or he repeatedly has doubts in this show. One of the big arcs is on the eve of the Meiji Restoration, one of the arcs in 1862 with Lord Yasuhide. Yeah. The guy is attempting to recruit demons to his cause. We have these damn foreigners are trying to colonize Japan, and I don't want that to go away. I want to keep on to the feudal system and what we have and keep the samurai around. And Jinya is like, look,
yes,
fair play to you. I'm going to stay out of all of that. But still, he gets embroiled in it anyways because of just his general human nature. At that point, Jinya is not protecting this grand ideal of, samurai versus, the Meiji, the emperor versus Tokugawa. He's stepping in because I don't want the people around me to get hurt because of the fallout of this. So if I can save a life and basically move the action away, and then also, protect the people who I care about, that's his core. Everyone else around is trying to do their games and manipulate him in other ways. But I think Jinya remains relatively forthright in his convictions, although he does get manipulated plenty of times, just because a lot of the times he's acting, if there's any big failure he tends to act with incomplete information. Oh, yeah. And more often than not, he gets bit in the ass for it.
He does, to fulfill that purpose, because, a demon has to fulfill their purpose. And it's something that he constantly encounters, something that plagues him. Well, a lot of those battles is, why do you swing that blade?
Self-dilemma.
It's the question that numerous demons have asked him, and I think maybe a couple of humans did too. Yeah, they're asking you, like, why do you swing that blade? And he can't. In the beginning, he thinks he has an answer because he has to fulfill this purpose. But over time, that answer, slowly starts to change.
And it feels like he changes the answer himself too, and he knows that he needs to find the most correct answer of the bunch.
Especially with the more people that he meets and the more people that he loses, because I think another key deal is Jinya is, of course, the focal point. Yeah. But what about this side cast? Like these, he's got some really great people on his side. And we're not quite at the point where they're starting to die off. This covers about a period of 50 years, but really it's more like 15 at the most, because the show starts at 1830, but his journey, like we don't pick up with Jinya
Yeah, and that's
until we're in Edo in 1850. So
Yeah.
it's really 1850 to 70, 22 years, excuse me. So it's not been quite long enough, except for one character, but of course that's a different thing going on with them.
Also, the key thing too is the setting, because he stays in the general region for a good core, and then jumps into another like section in the second core. So it's a nice even kill.
Yeah, and as soon as you said like the next thing that was in my brain, and then you said characters in his corner and everything. The next thing in my brain, Ofu.
Ofu, yeah, I know. And
She's so good, and she does so much for him, man. So
So,
important.
so incredibly important to his development, man.
She's like a humanity check. She's a comforter. She's an encourager. Like she is so important to Jinya's journey, and we're constantly going back to.
oh yeah, for sure. And we have for 950 Club for our end of the year podcast, one of our categories is best ensemble. Spoiler for 2025, number one, best ensemble for me, easily, hand over fist. Because the closest one I could think of, or two of them are Chi and Clevitas. That's it. But it also ties into one of my very few flags of the show, and probably one of the reasons why people kind of derailed from the show as well. Character confusion and substitution. And Ofu is a case of that, because I feel like she's like kind of like what just Tosei, the one that the full circle character early on, the childhood friend he grows up with, is kind of like a replacement of that. So I feel like they're kind of similar in build for purpose. It's also kind of like one of those things that are like, ooh, a little bit on the nose.
I can see a little similarity, maybe. I think every time he sees her, it's a bit of nostalgia of what used to be, and I guess you can say that, but I think Ofu means a lot more. I agree, though. I thought there were a few character designs that were a little too similar and could cause a little confusion. I did see that a few.
In the first core, those samurai characters were almost parallelly background transitional characters. So it's kind of like, oh, that character, the most random samurai of the bunch.
The nice guy samurai, Naotsuko Miura, and ended up taking the wife of one of Jinya's street
Yeah.
friends, and she just call me Harlan. And which was like, I think what was it, Yotaka?
Nightwalker.
Which is like the lowest level. Yeah. Yotaka, which is like the lowest level of Nightwalker, of just lowest level. And so she was basically like Jinya's informer of like the goings on. And so I liked that. I liked that
Yeah.
ending for her, very much a self-made. She and Jinya never really figured out what their relationship was, other than just like, we're friends. There was it never really went beyond that. It was always, information transactional. But she was a really interesting character, because she always seemed to be one step ahead of everybody else. This woman had a plan, and to see her end up with Naotsuko-san, I was like, you know what? I'm happy for her. Like, she finally was able to escape, using her brains. And again, with writing the play and the memoirs, of the play that came out of her memoirs.
That episode alone, another layer, and like we mentioned earlier with the top of layers, it's almost like a play of Japanese history as well, especially with the book, The Pillow Book. You ever read that one, Eve?
I have not.
Yeah, it's one of the oldest written journals in recorded history about this geisha, or kind of like a servant woman. It's theorized that she's a geisha, or a mother, at least to a prince, and she just writes her daily life living in this castle all by herself, similar to the Tale of Princess Kaguya, similar to Heike's story around that time frame.
Okay.
So it's like, yeah, it's a fascinating book, and it's I forgot the other story where it ties into it. Oh, not the Pillow Book. The Grand Epic. Apparently, the authors are rivals. Anyway, overall, it's kind of like, what if that character in the Pillow Book saw her own play and saw her own like rendition, how they interpreted the text, because that's very ancient Japanese text. So, it's just a fascinating play with the hair a lot.
Like you said, she had such a big sense of humor. Even, years down the line in the play, you see it. Even after she got married, every time she saw him, she still just had to poke at him. She still just had to poke at him.
Always making jokes at his
Yeah.
expense, and always she's really good at wordplay as well. There are a lot of Japanese puns floating around with her. What about there's another character who does that as well, kind of almost like a little brother. Well, not a little brother figure, but the mischievous. You're not really sure what's on this guy's mind ever. What is it? Akatsuki is what his name.
Yeah, Akatsuki Saga.
I'm sorry, Akitsu Somegoro, who
Yes,
Yes,
the
Akitsu. Yep.
Traveling
the exorcist.
shaman
The traveling shaman. The traveling shaman. He was always
from
cool.
Kyoto. Yes.
Yeah, also in Kyoto. So this is more like on the
Yes.
Kyoto side. Yeah, just a really interesting power set because of course we see him in the opening credits, and he's cutting up demons with a swallow and like a paper crane or something. It's like the coolest thing
Yeah,
ever. And the whole time he's that classic character who always seems to have his eyes closed. You never know what this guy is thinking. And
Yeah.
early on, I love their interplay early on because obviously he can sniff out that Jinya is a demon, like no sweat. But
Yeah.
he's still trying to
Yeah.
figure out, like, are you a good demon or are you a bad? Like, what's your deal? And Jinya, for his part, is like, what kind of exorcist are you, or what kind of person are you? Are we going to have to throw hands?
They had the blow off fight. They had the mystery reveal kind of thing. Oh, you're not that bad. I won't kill you. I'm more powerful than you, by the way.
Always funny, and you never. It's like you said, you never knew what he was up to, and you never quite knew.
Both of them hiding their power level.
Yeah. It was just like the tension was so thick there, but they've been at it so long that they're just kind of like, it's just like I hate you, but I love you.
I do like that Akitsu was pretty quick after a little while to extend an olive branch at least and try and work with it.
Yeah.
And then his apprentice is like, "Why are you associating with a demon? Are you an idiot?" And Akitsu is like, "Now, be on your guard. Now, he's a nice guy." So I do love the interplay of those two, and I can't wait to see more of Akitsu. Or again, that's going to be another line of succession that will follow Jinya. Akitsu is or I think Somegoro is an inherited name, so we can see like down the line that apprentice will be the new Somegoro, and so we'll see how that interplay will work out. But we're not quite there yet. Akitsu still's got fighting him left. I think where there's 2 definitely phases to this show, maybe 3. Well, but the definite split point is Jinya pre-dad, and now we got dad Jinya, which talking about not so much of the circumstances of how he gets a daughter, but it's not his by blood. But to watch him, like, if you want to talk about gradual change of inches, and then just suddenly Jinya is all about that dad life. Now he's beginning to find something to fight for. It's also, I call it the second phase of the show because that's when I think Ofu starts moving from like mother and sister to now there's a bit more going on. And so now there's an entirely different dynamic.
Well, that, but also kind of like a weird callback of a callback. The show already articulated that we're just like, you know what? It makes perfect sense. Like the setup of the show from the second and third episode, or at least, where Jinya is a regular at this soba shop, and that's where Ofu works, of course, and we find out her backstory a little bit later on, and then of course the soba shop owner, the father, who dotes on Ofu. Okay, so like Jinya sees their interactions daily as a regular, pretty much eating there every day like an old man. That's where he kind of picks up that second life, that type of like communication, and he naturally dotes on this adoptive daughter.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like you said, Jet, the parallels, because he used to make fun of the dad all the time of how doting he was on Ofu.
Precisely.
And that's why Ofu, Ofu throws a little something at him every now and then with, how he is with Omaru. And, even if he has to drop her off and do a job or whatever, he's still like always thinking of her, in that scene later on in season 2, when he kind of transforms a bit, he was doing it for protection, but Like his biggest concern was how she was going to take him when seeing that. And Omari was just like, "You're still dad." That was such a key moment for him. Again, it was another. You saw that humanity come back. It's like it took for her to bring him back at that moment.
Also, I would like to mention there is one of the people who also early on, Jinya could have defeated this guy by going into his demon mode, but there is a swordsman. There, like again, some mysteries will show up, and like you never know exactly what's going to happen. This is a classic case of everybody's going, it's got to be a demon because they are just people are just getting chopped to bits, and it turns out no, it's just a guy who's looking for the ultimate duel, and it's one of those fights where Jinya has Namari, and Jinya, he's got him on the ropes, and Jinya's about to die. And the guy spares him. It reminded me like a Princess Bride. I'd rather smash a church window than kill an artist such as yourself. Get better and try again.
Yeah, exactly.
And that guy actually turns into a demon. So you see him like 170 years later. Jinya's posing as a high school student, but of course Jinya also loves booze. So Jinya's rolling up on this convenience store, this combini, and the same dude is manning the cash register. And they're all chummy and they're talking, and then the guy kind of beeps his sake bottle and he goes, I could still kill you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jinya's like, yeah, see you next Thursday.
That was so funny. That was I love that arc.
It shows the brilliance of the show too, because it also reminds you that at the end of the day, it's an anime. Like we've dived into shows where like is it really an anime? Like there's shows that are just so high quality and so almost like near cinema, like Orb and Takopi. But this one's like, we're gonna just play around with it. We're gonna have fun because these guys are eternal. So this guy's gonna turn the greatest swordsman ever. It's gonna be a company clerk.
Yeah, we're gonna keep him around. He's too fun to let go.
He's too fun. And he was another one. Why do you swing that blade? That even I'm pretty sure even after they saw each other at the convenience store, he asked him again.
He's not the only one to do that either. Someone asks him in like the 1870s, are you happy? And Jinya, it's like, I don't know. I think I am. Same person asks him that question 170 years later, and he just gives him this big smile and he goes, what do you think?
And that's the killer aspect of the show, the simplicity. Because once again, this will be the last time I mention about the first episode. The adoptive father mentions, hey, things are going to get tough. Buckle up. That's essentially the freaking theme of the goddamn show. Like, if you just take that little simple lesson, this show keeps on reminding you of that simple lesson. It's that philosophy that will carry you over, especially in these troubled times, especially like during these Trump years. It's a matter of patience, a matter of will, a matter of sacrifice.
Any standout vocal performances to you?
You know what? It's not exactly a spoiler. It's neck and neck with best music at the moment for me for composition. Apparently it's 3 different artists through a recording group called Monosoke, I believe that's called. I'm not looking at notes at the moment, but I think it starts with an M. Like the different parts of each arrangements, like we mentioned before, Dave, like those like really Japanese instruments, but also very ambient overtones. But there's like instances where the composition is just pitch perfect. In case in point, the 16th episode with the illusionist, the one that gives Jinya his daughter. That's where the music really set the tone of like, this is your new life. It's like, the golden hour. The whole theme of that episode was the golden hour. Things come and things go, and it's passing of the sun, and a new life awaits after the sun sets, Jinya. I'm still thinking about it right now. Like, I only saw that episode twice, it'll live on forever for me.
I think the music in the background kind of lifts it up. Because again, this show it's not a pretty show. It's very gritty, very dark. You're not looking at this for the visual. You're going for the story.
No. I think the art direction is incredible, actually. Now, if you're talking some of the action animation, there are some jittering. You're talking about if you're talking about the sword play, then there's it's got some jitteriness. And the later episodes, I was seeing like, okay, I think this probably got rushed or some kind of production deal. But
in a way, it's also throwbacky. Like you can think of like older animes as well, kind of like having that choppy.
Yeah,
feel.
it's a very choppy, punchy feel. But I think the actual art direction, like if we're talking outside of the fights, because again, most of the show is outside of the fights. You know, the environmental, the backgrounds are just a visual feast. You know, the flowers and the way that they animate the water and the way they do. Yeah, the bridge is great. Just like this is a very, very pretty show. Think more Raven of the Inner Palace, Apothecary Diaries.
Yes.
That kind of visual presentation. If you're talking throwback, I mean, we just talked about Demon Slayer, which uses a lot of 3D CG for its environments. You know, this one not so much.
Not so much. I didn't clarify that, but I was specifically talking about the fighting animation. But I still,
you're on the
I don't mind being wrong, differing opinion. But like again, it's very gritty, and I like the fact that it's gritty. You know, it's good to see all the eye-popping visuals, the bright colors and everything. It was such a refresher to see this because it did have that. It had that dark feel to it. It had the music in the background for again, like I said, like even more on the times when the animation, especially in the fights, wasn't so great. The music still in the background kind of lifted it up and evened it out.
Yeah, despite a little bit of quibbles, I mean, the presentation of this show is impeccable. And I will have to say, not just watching this week to week and not just watching this for a second time, this is a show where I really feel like anime is the medium that it was produced. It feels like it's paced more like a live action drama, like a TV drama, maybe that you would see, which means this is also a really good show to take in batches. And the arcs are well enough separated to where you will have, 2-3 episodes or 1 or 2 episodes, or you can do multiple arcs. I also enjoy that. I really think that this is just a really good, now that it's all out and the English dub is almost done. So typically I think, Sentai Filmworks, this is on High Dive, of course. I think typically they do a pretty good job with dubs. Sometimes I think some of their dubs are like, that sounds a bit line ready, or that was probably a first take and they just moved on. This one, not so much. I think this is a really solid English dub. I think, me personally, I'm still watching it in Japanese all the time because it's an incredibly Japanese specific show. I typically only watch something in English if it's more like a Western influence. But I think this one is really good for Japanese, to get a little familiar with the wordplay, the cadence. This show has a really nice rhythm in both its music and its dialogue. I think that's what keeps me coming back to Sword of the Demon Hunter. It's the drama, it's the interconnectedness of all of its mysteries, and you'll have something set up in one episode that'll get paid off, literally 20 years later. And it seemed like this innocuous thing, but it was actually a central component to do another mystery, which again, it's just good mystery series. It's just a good show all around. It always keeps me guessing.
Yeah, the notorious one was the wine shop thing, where
oh my god,
Jinya had a random mission killing a small demon. Mind you, a big, like a little demon, and he thought it was like a money mission, whatever. And like the Herlock gave him information. 4 episodes later, 5 episodes. Oh, by the way, that's the biggest key plot for your arch rival. Yeah, no big deal.
I think it's better to watch in batches, because if you're watching it week to week, like the time jumps may throw you off if you don't remember what happened last week.
I had trouble remembering what year it was in certain arcs. I kept jumping back to. They tell you at the beginning of the episode what year it is. Most of them, unless you're in the middle of an arc. It's like last week I was like, okay, am I in 1852 or am I in 1862? Big difference.
And then, sure enough, with the year jumps, it's more like another exterior layer. How I alluded to the Herlock episode with Japanese culture with the Pillow Book. This is a study of Japanese history, and there's a key element in the second core where it mentions about the fall of the Ronin of the samurai.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
An incredibly interesting period of samurai history. Like, that is the Perry expedition, that is the blockade. And so around
Yes.
1853, that's when he was sitting out there in the bay, and they're all complaining. They consistently for a couple of years they're complaining that the shogun is capitulating to those damn foreigners. And then you get to 1862, the eve of the Meiji Restoration,
Yes.
that it's 6 years away, and so you're sitting here a little bit more tense. A couple extra samurai are milling around in the street. Suddenly the atmosphere is much more tense. This is like The Witcher.
Yeah, that's more accurate.
Yeah, Jinya is just a wandering monster slayer, and people just keep roping him into all these situations.
There's plenty of suffering, and he's still dealing with that. He's still dealing with loss. He's still having to deal with all these people that I know and I've met are gone, and I'm still here. And that even comes back. A character even brings that up to him with the girl who got transported to the wrong era, and then they meet up, and he takes her to the festival, and she asks him, like, how do you do it? Like, how do you deal with it? Like, you've lived all these years, met all these people, raised a kid, and all this stuff, and you're still here, and they're gone.
And I think this show, this season, it's right at that cusp where I think when season 2, if it hasn't been announced already, I don't know why I didn't check earlier, but I'm pretty sure we're getting a second season sometime in the future if it's not announced already. But I'm pretty sure we're going to see a lot of things have been set up, and we're right at the cusp of where it's been a good amount of time where folks that he's met at the beginning of the show, allies and everything, he's already lost a number of mentor figures along the way, just through, sword and the violence of the series. But now he's about to start losing people through old age. And so it's going to be interesting to watch how he processes that through his journey. And it makes me like watching this show. If we somehow don't get a second season, I am tracking down these books. I see them on Goodreads. I am not going to sit here and wonder how this story is going to end for the next 5+ years. If there's not an announcement by the end of 2026, I have to know.
Or learning the language and doing it from source.
I don't have to. I just told you that at this point they're almost done in English. I won't have to
They're
do
almost
that.
done.
Yep.
I am really invested in this story. I think this show was a big surprise for me in a good way, in a really good surprise. I think the biggest hurdle is just convincing people to check this out because it's on High Dive. But I think this is the kind of show where I could at least give it the 2-week, give it the trial and watch Demon Hunter. Maybe it'll come over to Hulu.
The good thing about High Dive is a lot of their stuff ends up over there. Probably going to be Disney Plus, but that's another story for another time.
And that hurdle with High Dive, it's real. Like our partner Edwin, unfortunately, he's just like, I just don't re-rescribe. This one, you should. Like until who knows with the merger, who knows if it's lost in time. Like, I'll be the first in that closet for buying the DVD or Blu-ray. Like, here's money. Here, it's like the Fry meme. Money now. Like, give me the Blu-ray box set.
Oh, this is immediately on the wish list. If I am positive Sentai is going to do a complete collection of this, and I'm going hand it over.
Yeah.
Just hand it over. Here's my credit card. Gimme.
Yes. Like, let's skip the middleman here.
Do you guys have like a favorite arc or a favorite moment of the show?
I've been back and forth. Of course, the 16th episode in the core 2 with Illusionist is phenomenal. But my favorite is the 19th episode when the soba shop owner dies.
And you knew it was coming. You knew it was going to happen, but you didn't want it to.
Because you had the scene where he's like, "I want you guys to stand in the doorway for me," like Ofu, Nomari, and Jinya all holding hands. It's like, that's a sight to make an old man happy, and then he's dead the next day. I'm like, what in the clan ed was that? You knew it was coming. You knew it was going to happen. But still, they played the old man card. They played the dad card. They played it perfectly. Gosh, man, another one that really got me. It was at the conclusion of the cursed sake. That was the arc where the first time he reveals his demonic form to one of his friends, and she does not take it well. She
Yeah.
drives him away, and it's also a really personal
Mhm.
thing for Jinya because he's having to cut down someone that he's also very familiar with. And it was something that he knew he could have prevented. But at the end of it, they're trying to find the source. And somehow he ends up reuniting with Shirayuki in a very brief moment because someone was essentially poisoning the water hole with I'll say elements of his dead lover. So Suzune was one of those things of Suzune's working behind the scenes. He doesn't have any definitive proof, but he's like, who else would have held on to this?
That was going to be one that I mentioned because that was such a pivotal, like you said, there's kind of pivotal moments in Jinya. Like Yuki may have saved him in that moment. Having that, just to have that moment again with her may have been something that prevented him from, going the other way.
He's able to lay that spirit to rest and also hold Shirayuki basically one more time, one last time. Really powerful moment. And there are just many more moments like that in the show. And I really just can't understate how much I really appreciated this show. When I was talking to Tyler over on his show, I said, this is my hidden gem of summer 2025. And I think it's really a toss up. Me personally, it's a toss up between this and Orb. Now I'm not going to say like a hidden gem, but it's a toss up between this and Orb for the number 2 and number 3 spot.
Me too, man.
As we're seeing right now.
Like when I first in that first core, like I said, within like the first 5-6 episodes, when I'm like, this show isn't what I thought it was going to be. I'm just like, I'm watching it. I'm going to watch it because I started. And then, once I turned that corner, like, all right, this isn't going to be that. And I kept watching, and I was like, oh, we're getting a core 2 right here. So it went from a show that was kind of like, I'm watching it to I'm waiting for this. By the end of that 24th episode, I'm like, over. And I just like it just carried me through 25. It carried me through 2025, and it's no longer here. And I'm just sitting there, thinking about this and going over this episode, and it's just sparking all of these events that happened in the show me all over again. And it's just like I just want to dive in and watch it again. Like I need more. I would not be shocked if this in my top 10 for the year, and I will be happy to sing its praises.
I don't think I've attached to something this strongly since Mushishi or Spice and Wolf or again Apothecary, but I really gravitate towards these mystery dramas where it's all about exploring the human experience and all of the, back and forth dialogue. Action, of course, I love action series, but really like at its heart, I love stories just about the human experience, the good, the bad, the tragedy and the redemption. And I think this story just has so much pathos and there's so much left to animate. I have no idea how this poor kid is going to navigate the rest of the 1800s, going into the Taisho era, going into the World Wars. How is he going to process all of that? And the whole time he's still cutting down demons with a sword. And I can't wait to see more or read more. I just want to see more of this show, and I want more people to experience the show at the end of the day.
Yeah. And in confession, for me, this is a super slow burn because the second episode with that swerve, it's not exactly an adventure. You have to pay attention. And that was the default. It wasn't even ranked in my top 10 in this preseason because I'm like, I'll finish it at my own pace, like the show, because it's a show of its own freaking pace, and it's becoming more and more rarity. Even Orb is easily a top favorite of mine, but that was weekly. Like I needed to watch more and more. That urgency, the ultimate chase. Whereas this one's like no chase. Like okay, there's a big, demon lord at the end. We get it, but this is a character going through the motions. This is a character trying to discover things. Even Mushishi. Mushishi is my all-time favorite anime, and that one's even more external in terms of like what is Genko really thinking about. It's still a mystery, but with Jinya, he's processing. He's ultimately registering these events unfolded and through the demons and through the society he lives in, along with the culture, along with the history tidbits. And like, I have this one book behind me called The Samurai Film by Alan Silver, and I still haven't read it because I know that it's one of my all-time favorite film genres. And with this show, it's, it cuts through the surface of the ideology of Bushido and ideology of yokai, stories of yokai and demons, and it's a primer for Japanese influence, and it doesn't mess around. So, if that's not an upsell, I don't know what is.
Like Jack said, hey, you got to go whatever pace is right for you. You got to go at that pace. You have to focus, not interrupted, and that's what it takes to really get the essence of this show. You kind of have to immerse yourself in it.
And it is a rewarding experience. I really felt my time was well served, just losing myself in this world. And so I'm hoping that's what folks will discover the joy of watching this show. And I hope that's one will be the big takeaways, which is the good presentation. There's plenty to look at. There's a lot to think about with the character dialogue, and again, the music is incredible. So I hope this episode did helped with a little bit of part of convincing at least one person listening to this to give Sword of the Demon Hunter a shot. Now, gentlemen, are there any final wrap-up thoughts before we close this out?
Like you said, sign up for the free trial of High Dive if that's what it takes, and just cancel it after a few days. But watch this show. It will be a reward.
And for me, with the other show as well, with the Fire Hunter, at least in that threshold, at least in that middle ground, definitely not the greatest show ever, but it's a very fascinating show, at least with like studying the lore of the time frame of early 20th century Japanese culture, and fighting demons and things like that. So the little plug-in shout out to that show as well. It needs that push because the OP and closing are phenomenal.
Fire Hunters are really cool. Make it a double pairing. Fire Hunters on Crunchyroll, so easier, much easier to find. So if you like Fire Hunter, if you like the Heikei story, again, a little bit of Mushishi in here, I think that would be a good sell as any. Thank you guys for showing up and giving this little show that could a little bit of a extra boost, hopefully. So we'll see how it all works out in the end. I really hope we get a second season of this, and or eventually a full adaptation. But at the very least, I will be keeping an eye on this, and I'll be keeping an eye on the books itself. So I can definitely see this being on my Christmas list for 2026, and to start another. I do not have the shelf space. It doesn't matter. I need to have these books displayed because this is just too good, I think, to ignore, and I really don't want this show to fade away and for people to forget about it. I really think this could find an audience, and especially with everything else, sometimes a slower season may come around. So just kind of keep this one in the back of your mind. Maybe I should give Demon Hunter a shot. Yeah, until next time, thanks again for showing up and talking about this anime, and until next time, I hope you guys stay safe and, of course, continue to watch cartoons.
Peace.
Peace.